Tym Moss.
Wendy Stuart, how are you?
Oh, I am so good because here we are on If These Walls Could Talk. I was a little worried there. We had a little bit of a technical
glitch, I thought maybe it was my computer. But
I know, you know what? This is what we go through with streaming, folks. This is the way it is. And it's magic when it happens, but the whole behind the scenes thing. But the gods are with us here today, Tym Moss.
Most definitely. And you just have to power through.
You have to just power through those glitches. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a gorgeous day here in New York City. It can't get more perfect.
It is so gorgeous. We are coming to you live from Pangea, where I was here last night. We're doing a series of artist interviews here.
Yes. How is that going?
Gorgeous collective show up in the back. And last night was the last of the series. But, you know, we came up with this idea, Wendell Walker, who's the curator here. I personally feel, I'm sure you agree with me on this, Tim, we go to these art openings and it's a bunch of people standing around drinking wine, not looking at the stuff on the walls. And half the time, the curator's got the name of the artist, a QR code. You don't know anything about that artist.
Yep.
And, you know, I was just feeling it was like such a disservice. So why not, right? Because I love interviewing. You love interviewing. Why don't we just do something where we bring the artists up on stage and they tell the story behind the story? So,
That's brilliant.
It is brilliant, you know, and it's respectful. And I don't know, we're going to put the art world on its ear.
Yeah.
or somewhere. That is really wishful thinking on my part. I have to tell you, I don't know how many people who are listening were caught in that storm on Friday night.
I saw your umbrellas and everything was on.
I went out to Pennsylvania, you know, where I have my humble little shack, in the woods. And all of a sudden my phone goes, and it put out this big warning, 80-mile-an-hour winds, and, you know, hunker down, be careful, all these warnings. And being a New Yorker, I said to myself, oh God, such drama. Literally 3 minutes later, I'm looking out my living room window and my two enormous umbrellas on my deck were lifted up out of their stands and went flying. It was like a scene out of Tornado. And all of a sudden the house goes pitch black and it was hot as anything. So I was going to duke it out, but you know, I live with a fabulous gay housemate there. He didn't have one emergency thing there, not one. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I'm like, there's a Best Western in town and they take dogs. I got one of the last rooms for me and Nugget. We checked into a room with a king size bed and little Nugget had a grand old time, and so did I. So we turned it into like a mini vacation. But my God, you know, this climate change thing is real.
Yeah, it is no joke. No joke.
It's no joke. So Tim, I've been seeing all this stuff for Bronx Pride coming up.
Yes. Actually, next weekend on Saturday, July 18th at Crotona Park Amphitheater in the Bronx. I'm going to be a host.
You're going to be the host.
I'm going to be singing. I'll be telling jokes. We'll be having a gay old time.
At gay old time, you'll be sweating because, as I recall, God, it gets really hot there.
Yes, it does. And we got those tents, those changing rooms that are tents in the back that have no ventilation.
No ventilation. They're all plastic.
All for the art. All for the art.
Right. What do we sing? What we did for love, right? I mean, I seem to recall that song. Well, it's like the story of all of our lives. So this evening on my other show, TriVersity Talk, I have the amazing Ava Mueller coming on. A lot of people know her. I know you do, Tim. She created a art piece, many art pieces, but this particular one is called Wall of Emotions, where she has photographed hundreds of people they're not regular photographs. I don't know what her process is. She'll be discussing it. And we each had Tim, you did it, right?
Did which? What?
Did you do her Wall of Emotions thing? Mine, you had to come up with an emotion and she took a picture of you like that. And it's a giant mural that she made. So mine, of course, was hope. Of course it was hope. Anyway, she's coming on tonight. And we're all good. All right. Now for the icing on the cake.
Let's get this party started.
Party started. our guest has been on before a while back, but I am so thrilled and excited to get him again. First of all, he is like the primo celebrity interviewer,
Mhm.
has an incredible background as a judge performing over 8,000 gay marriages. But that's just a
Yeah.
tip of the iceberg about him. He had an entire legacy of working as a lawyer in family court, becoming a judge.
Mhm.
And he went against so many odds to make this all happen. I
Yeah.
have to tell you, his life was not a cakewalk. All right. And they call him Hurricane Harvey. Please welcome Harvey Brownstone. And we are going to be talking about his new book, Without Prejudice, My Life as a Gay Judge. And here you go. I'm holding it up to the camera. Welcome, Harvey.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Tim. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. We're so excited to have you here today.
And I just want to say you have an open invitation to come on this show anytime.
Anytime.
Thank you so much. Well, I just adore the both of you. I watch your show every week.
Thank you.
And I love what you do. And I love the positive energy that you give to the entire world.
Well, oh my God,
thank you.
Thank you. I feel the same about you, and I have to tell you, I do so much research on my guests, but because it was you, and I've watched your show, I'm like, this guy must spend hours upon hours researching his guests. I was pulling information about you from every nook and cranny. What time you went to the bathroom 2 weeks ago? But, I even told a lot of my friends this weekend, I'm like, I got to go prep for my guest, and they're like, well, you prep for all your guests. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah, right.
This guest is like, he knows everything about everybody. I said, he's got a legal background, and he'll nail you if you don't get the facts straight. so there you have it. So Harvey, this is such exciting stuff. Your new book, Harvey Brownstone, Without Prejudice, My Life as a Gay Judge. I'm going to ask you a very cliche question. Why at this point in your career did you decide to write this book?
I had two reasons. The first was, I know there's a lot of people who have been through really difficult obstacles like me. I'm talking about bullying, parental rejection, discrimination, professional jealousy. And I felt that the strategies and the coping mechanisms that I developed in order to overcome those obstacles could help people, that they could help people. And the second reason was, I think it's time that somebody who was a judge tell the public the truth about how broken the criminal and family justice systems are in North America.
Yeah.
Even though I'm in Canada, it's the same system in the States.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why I know why judges don't do it, but retired judges are now free to speak. And nobody ever opens up, lifts the veil, and tells the public the truth. So I've decided to do it.
You know what, Harvey? After reading your book, what it made me think, once they retire, they just don't care. Don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. They did what they did. And even I was really, my dad had been a lawyer till he got Parkinson's disease, and he was going to be made a judge. His whole life changed, but I did come from a somewhat legal background. He was a criminal lawyer. And when I was reading, though, the stuff that you shared about judges, it's like, my God, nobody here, you don't want to end up in court. Now I understand when they say, oh, if you get a bad judge or judge so-and-so, forget it. And you firsthand talked about that, Harvey.
Well, the judges that were on the bench when I was a young lawyer are very different than the judges we see now, because the process for appointing judges, at least in Canada, got better. There used to be a purely political appointment. In the United States, many judges are elected, and I do not agree with that system at all, because I don't think judges should be politicians.
Right.
And so that's a different system. But in the 90s, the system here got changed, where you had to be interviewed and investigated, and there was an independent committee that was not government that made recommendations to the Attorney General about who could be a judge. And then we started to see better quality
Yeah.
of judges.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you that although we don't see the old boys club like we used to,
Yeah.
what we do see are very ambitious people who are more interested in writing scholarly decisions than they are in being problem solvers, using the law to help people and make their lives better, which is what I wanted to do.
Right.
Mhm.
So I still have a lot of criticisms for not all, but some of my former colleagues who I feel are more interested in their own ambition and their own advancement up to the Court of Appeal and beyond, as
Mhm.
opposed to just rolling up your sleeves and finding out why are these people here in front of you and what can be done to resolve the issues. If it's criminal court, what's causing this antisocial behavior? Is it a drug addiction? Is it mental illness? Is there some other trauma that they're over?
Well, but you even mentioned there that when you were in criminal court, you were trying to solve the problem, and these criminals were getting dismissed. They were out on the street again, and they said to you, our job really isn't to solve the problem. It's like it's a round robin.
I'm afraid so. And unfortunately, if the real problem behind bad behavior is mental illness or mental illness that's never been diagnosed,
Right.
or a substance abuse problem. And I would say that in criminal courts across North America, at least 80% of the people that appear in criminal court are suffering from mental health problems and or substance abuse. And if that's the real problem, putting them in jail and warehousing them in prisons does not solve anything, because they get out and they go right back to it.
Right.
And many times learn how to do a better job of it from being in the system and talking to other people, other criminals.
And then family court, if two parents can't get along and make decisions together about the best interests of their children, fighting World War III in a family court is not going to solve the problem. They're going to hate each other more at the end of the case than they did at the beginning.
Right. Well, I think environment also has a lot to do with the development of some of these people, but like you were saying, like throwing them in a jail and not really doing anything to help rehabilitate.
Yeah.
Because it just opens the door, throwing them out. They haven't learned a thing. They go right back to what they know and end up coming right back in. So
the thing is, it's expensive. The public doesn't understand that the cost of policing and prosecuting and imprisoning people is very expensive. That money could be spent so much better if you addressed the underlying problems. So that was a big reason I wrote the book. But mostly, I have to say, Wendy and Tim, it's really a memoir. I felt I had to talk about the justice system because I was a judge. Right. And the title of the book is My Life as a Gay Judge. Right. But the truth is, and you know this, it's my story. How did I go from being a social outcast to being Canada's first openly gay judge? That's really, and then why did I leave the judiciary to become a celebrity interviewer? That's really the heart of the book.
Right.
Well, personally, I think that you have an advantage because of what you went through in your past. You have a more sympathetic understanding of people.
I hope so. That's a very kind thing for you to say, and I sure hope so. I will tell you this. A lot of the judges I worked with would not have recognized a poor person if they fell over one. But I was on welfare for 5 years. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I think that I did bring my understanding of being on the outside looking in, being a fish out of water. I think that did make me more empathetic and more sympathetic as a judge. I sure hope so.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's the fish out of water thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. That for me was just a reoccurring theme in your life, like you were having to constantly prove yourself, swim your way upstream. But you did have kindness along the way. You met people that were mentors that saw that special thing in you, and I love that you emphasize that, because I think for anyone that's listening who's ever felt like the underdog, and Lord knows I have been there myself. You have to know that Tim also, you have to know that there's someone out there that is going to have your back. Okay. And you have to hang on long enough. When you were disengaged from your parents, that is a very, very heavy thing, Harvey. And I have gay friends now that are still disengaged from their parents. I have grown gay men that come on my show in their 50s and 60s whose parents still do not talk to them because they are the sin of being gay. That is really heavy.
It is heavy. And now you're getting into why I feel that I managed to succeed. When I told my parents I was gay, I was 19, they threw me out. I was homeless, penniless, but I was determined to make something of myself.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of young lesbians and gay people back in the 70s whose parents had rejected them just like me.
Right.
But
it was unfortunately common.
It was very common. And what happened to many of them, not all, but many, they turned that heartbreak and that pain inward, and it turned into self-loathing. And then they self-medicated with alcohol and drugs. And I'm sorry to say that some of them committed suicide. And I even contemplated it myself, as you know. And so I found a way to overcome that. I was determined I wasn't going to be that person that was so broken by parental rejection, because it is a horrible thing.
It's a horrible thing.
But I harnessed and I channeled my pain and my heartbreak and my anger into ambition, into fierce determination that I was going to prove them wrong. I'll show you.
Right.
I'm going to prove somebody.
In spite of you.
And that also takes so much courage,
right?
And will. Because that's not the easy path. The easy path is to let it destroy you from the inside out.
But I wanted people who read my book, and there are many people who go through this. People get rejected by their parents, not just because they're gay, but because of their choice of partner, their choice of career, their choice of friends, their political views, their religious views. You have to channel that energy, that anger, into a determination to prove them wrong. That was my whole thing. I knew that if I worked hard enough, I could get through law school. I knew that I had a personality that I could make it as a lawyer. I knew it. I just knew that if I got that diploma, I could go to court. I would eventually find some law firm that would give me a job. I could make my clients trust me and like me. I could win over a jury. I never lost a trial as a lawyer, ever.
No, I mean, right.
Ever. Because I knew I worked 3 times harder than everybody else.
Right.
Now, women and visible minorities and gay people have had to do this forever. We have to work 3 times harder than everybody else just to be considered equal. But I did it.
Right.
And you can do it too. That's what I want to say to your viewers. You can do it too. You have to be prepared to work hard, and you have to want it.
Right. And you have to be able to the thing is, Harvey, there is something in you. I have it in me too. Somebody once described me as the blade of grass growing up in the concrete. Okay. You take that that visual any way you want. But my mother brought me up to say the whole world can't be wrong and you're right. Guess what? I found out it was just the opposite. I found out what was right for me, but that was something in me. What is that element in you? Where does that come from? You had to be born with it, or you get it from your parents. But where did that come from in you?
Well, I think I did get it from my parents. Yes, they rejected me, but prior to that, the first 19 years of my life, they were good parents, and my mother was a very strong, determined woman who built a very successful business in the fashion world. So I think I did inherit that. But the reason that you are a blade of grass in the concrete, Wendy, is because you figured out early on what you're good at. Everybody's good at something.
I love that.
And if you can peel away all the layers of what everybody else expects of you and your own anxieties and look at, what am I good at? And once you figure that out, and I knew in my case, I was good at people skills. I wasn't the smartest guy in the world. but damn it all, I knew how to win people over. I knew I could do it in a courtroom. I used humor as a job skill,
absolutely
not
brilliant,
as a personality characteristic. I used humor and likability as a job skill. Right. And you did that. You figured out that you're really good at what you do and that you were going to pursue that. And I think a lot of people don't find it easy to do that.
Right. Well, again, we go back to the rejection thing. And again, Harvey, you got something special because Tim and I talk with a lot of our guests on here. In the acting world, rejection, I mean, is a really, really common thing. And people that have been in it decades, and I meet a lot of the performers, they're just so screwed up in the head in their 50s and 60s. And they try and find their niche, but they're still drinking the Kool-Aid of the agent that tells them, oh, you can do extra work. It's fine. It's not going to hurt you. They are told and they are sold the status quo. You were sold the status quo. What is it? Why didn't you buy or drink the Kool-Aid?
Because I was so determined that I was going to prove to my parents that they didn't have to be ashamed of me. My only goal. It wasn't good enough to get through law school. I had to get straight A's. And then it wasn't good enough to be a lawyer. I had to win every case. And then that wasn't good enough. And I had to become a judge at 38 years old.
38 years old.
And openly gay. I had to prove to my parents that they didn't have to be ashamed of me. And that makes you an overachiever. Yeah. And when you're an overachiever, it's never good enough. So even after I became a judge, that wasn't good enough. I had to write a book, and then I had to host a television show, which had never been done for a sitting judge.
Right. Yeah.
And then when it became clear I wasn't going to be made Chief Justice, and the book explains that, I told them all to go screw themselves and decided to reinvent myself as a celebrity interviewer, which is what I wanted to do my whole life. And so I think that drive, that becoming an overachiever is planted by the seed of rejection for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You tend to you're going to show the whole world. I'm curious, what was the mystique for you about pop culture? How did it all start?
I was a talk show junkie as a kid. We all grew up watching
Griffin and David Cavett and
Dick Cavett.
Or Dick Cavett.
Griffin, Johnny Carson, Barbara Walters, David Frost, Mike Douglas, all those people. I used to sit there and watch every interview show, and I would sit there going, I can do this better. They're not asking the right questions. They're not following up. They're not listening to the guest. I know I can do this better. And if I had not been kicked out by my parents, I would have pursued a career as an interviewer. But
it's so funny.
When my parents were so devastated that I was gay, I didn't have the guts to go to Hollywood or New York and try to be an interviewer, because I thought, my God, that's going to kill them. That's the final nail in the coffin. Not only is our son gay, but now he thinks he can be in show business. So I decided I was going to go the safe route and try to get a profession, try to be a professional person, because I knew that being a lawyer, I had more chance of success than going into show business. But after I retired, I was 65 years old. I got a pension. I don't need to keep working. I did it 26 years. Then I thought, okay, now I'm going to try it. And of course, and I'm going to tell you, I might as well just tell you this. I was a laughing stock. When I told my colleagues at 65 years old that I was going to retire and go and be a podcaster on YouTube, this was 2021. Most judges in Canada work until they're 75. We have mandatory retirement at 75, but you're eligible for a pension at 65. So I wasn't crazy enough to leave before the pension, but
you left with the money in your pocket. But how did that make you feel that they laughed at you?
They said, are you insane? You're leaving your job as a judge to go on YouTube and be a podcaster? And how are you planning to get famous people to talk to you? I mean, what are you, insane? I was a laughing stock, and you can only imagine what they said behind my back, if that's what they said to my face.
Yeah, right.
And here's the thing, and Wendy, that one of my biggest themes of the book is that success is the best revenge.
Absolutely. I believe that myself.
Well, the thing about success is about 6 months into my show, I started getting big stars and I started getting millions of viewers, and then we got televised and it really took off. Mm-hmm. Do you think that any of those former colleagues have ever come to me and said, we were wrong? Like, congratulations.
No, right.
Like,
right.
Wow, way to go. Bravo. Yeah. Congratulations. They don't do that.
Unfortunately, they live in that world that they had built, and they will never step outside of it.
Never.
So they can't understand what life is like outside of that.
And that's why your success is not something this is something that I'm happy for people. And so is Tim when we see friends of ours have success. But I have really learned it does not work that way out there. You think someone's going to be happy for you, they're going to be jealous as hell over you. So you know what? I keep my wins in my circle. Those are the only people that really need to know. I choose what I put out on social media, but I sure as heck do not share it with the world, because somebody said to me, why are you like that? I don't want everybody to know what I have, what I've done, where I'm going. They don't need to know that. Right. They can tune into my shows and watch them as they can tune into your show, Harvey. And that's it. They don't need to know the other stuff. They're not going to be happy for you.
But also, in a way, they were like your parents.
Yeah.
Where they did not understand you. They did not appreciate who you were. And once you left to go do what you wanted, they're like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Right. Why?
Well, I have to say that I wish we lived in a world where people who bullied you or didn't support you or were jealous of you would come to you and say, I'm really proud of you. Congratulations. I really think that's great. But you're right, Wendy and Tim, we don't live in that kind of world. The fact is that if you are a progressive, inventive person, if you're a person who's innovative, who thinks outside the box, and who really wants to make positive changes at the workplace, you will be surrounded by professional jealousy. That's just the truth. Right. And it's a sad reality. I don't think I've ever read another memoir where this was really dealt with, but I dealt with it because it is a reality. It's a byproduct of success, because people are not jealous of losers. They're only jealous of winners.
Mm-hmm.
And so having jealous people around you is actually a badge of honor.
Yeah.
You must be a success. If they're jealous of you, they're not going to be
you're doing something right.
Jealous of losers. So, but the part that I had to learn is that they don't come to you. Now, as far as my parents go, they really did come around. But it didn't happen until I became a judge.
Mm-hmm.
I think that for my mother, and she was the problem, when she saw that the government was willing to make her son a judge, even though he was openly gay.
You were validated. In your mama's eyes, you were validated.
And she was able to let go of all those myths, all of those stereotypes, all of that discrimination, because she saw, well, I guess the world has changed. I mean, my son's a judge.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so that really was very healing for me. I was very lucky that I did get 20 good years with my parents after I became a judge.
Wonderful.
They really did support me. They were totally accepting of me. And so I'm lucky. But everybody else, and here, you want to know something even worse? Can we talk?
We can talk. You're here. Everybody talks to us. Please go for it.
Not only did my colleagues never come and say, congratulations. I mean, it's unbelievable what you've done. I mean, when you think about that, I'm sitting here in Canada with no Hollywood connections, no show business experience, and I'm interviewing these stars. I've actually had emails from some of these people who would not have pissed on me if I was on fire, sending me emails saying, I've written a screenplay and I'm wondering if you could get that to Steven Spielberg, or, my daughter has a beautiful voice. Could I please send you a CD and you could send her music to some of these big producers that you know? I mean, you can't make this up.
Wow.
People's nerve, though, it never ceases to amaze me. I'm curious, with a lot of the celebrities that you have interviewed, have there been interviews? Because I've watched your interviews. They're very, very smooth. Have any of them been not so smooth, and it's just the way you were able to turn it around in the interview?
Well, my interviews are highly edited. See, I'm talking to two colleagues. So I can tell you this.
There, and it's opposed to Wendy and Tim, where it's live and it's all out there, folks. God.
It's all out there. No, I have to tell you, my interviews are highly edited. I have had interviews. Let me see. There was one star. I don't want to name names because I don't want to get anybody angry.
We're not doing that.
Just tell us the situation. Let us guess and see if we can figure out who it is.
One television star who kept her phone on during the interview, and she took 4 phone calls during the show. She kept, like, we'd be right in the middle of a conversation. Oh, just a minute, I got to take this call. Well, wait a minute. And some of these calls were like, the pharmacy was calling to see if they could deliver her.
This is important stuff, Harvey. Come on.
Yeah, and and I'm listening to her saying things like, well, does that work for hemorrhoids? Oh, all right.
Stop. Oh my God.
And then I had one star who I will mention. I will mention this one. Bronson Pinchot. I've interviewed over 600 celebrities. And he was the only one that stopped me halfway through and said, I've had enough of this. I'm out of here.
That would make me so uncomfortable.
I said, well, okay, you feel you got to go? Can I at least close the show? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And so you can't tell on the interview, but I have not been keeping that a secret because honest to God, I was brokenhearted.
Right.
Because I don't know what I did wrong. I mean, I know that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but anybody who watches my show usually will see the guest be quite impressed that I did do a lot of research and I know a lot about their careers.
Right. And it's neutral. There's nothing polarizing. And I give you credit for that. You're not that kind of interviewer. Neither Tim and I. We want warm and fuzzy and fun on our show. But that would make me so uncomfortable.
How disrespectful.
He said, I've had enough of this. I'm out of here. I got to go. And I said, but we agreed to 30 minutes. And he said, I don't care. I'm out of here. And I honestly, it took me about a week to get over that. I've never. And then my manager in LA said, look, of all the stars you've interviewed, you've had one. Everybody else has been great. But it's hard. Some of them, I'm sure you've had this too, where they don't know you. They don't know anything about you, but their representative has booked them on your show. And so they show up on the screen. And right away, instead of hello, they say, okay, how long is this going to take?
Yeah, right.
And I realized
we have had a couple, but I got to tell you, not many, because you see, Tim and I are personalities. People, we're clowns. They don't know where it's coming from. And we get into the warmth and the humor right away and you guys both know this. If you get them with the warmth and the humor, they're going to tell you the good stories. And I don't mean nasty gossip. I mean the really good stuff why do we have these shows? We want to share this. We want our listeners to say, oh my God, I didn't know that. Oh, that's so cool, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah, and I do a lot of red carpet coverage too, and I've had a lot of them that are like, oh, listen, could I get a couple minutes? Okay, don't be so excited about it.
Because let's face it, like I know I'm not Oprah, I'm not Larry King, I'm just a guy on YouTube, and I know that I have to prove myself, and I try my very best, and usually I do win them over. I mean, So, but it is hard work. Yeah. And I'm glad you say, Wendy, that my show looks smooth because we edit out, first of all, my producer is a stickler for ums. He will not allow anybody to say on my show. They get edited out. So it's very smooth. Right. Very smooth. But in the real world, people do say
Right.
And sometimes a star will say, oh, I don't like that answer. Can you ask me again? Let me do it again. And one of the reasons we can get the big stars is because we do protect them. We do allow them to say, okay, answer the question again. And they know that we will edit out what they don't want.
Right.
And that's what you have to do sometimes. If you want a major star, they want to know the questions in advance. They want to know that they have control over the finished product. And I'm willing to do that because I so want to... I want to try and get the stars that I've idolized myself because I'm basically a fan.
Right. Yeah, you are the ultimate fan. You became such a fan that you had to become a celebrity interviewer. That is like the height of fandom, right? If we're going to talk about fandom, I'm curious, the people that bullied you growing up, because that was a large part of you. I mean, you were bullied more or less in your legal career, but not the same as when we're adolescents. When you ran into those people years later as this big success, I'm curious what their reaction was.
Oh boy, you pushed a real button there. When I was a kid, I was bullied because I was a faggot. They all picked me out. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't understand. Like, Tim, I mean, if you don't know about sex when you're 8 years old, you don't know. I didn't even know what it was, but I was a sissy, I was a queer, I was a faggot.
Imagine my surprise when it turns out they were right.
Well,
oh, gee, they know what they were talking about.
It's very interesting you said that, because I went to a school reunion after I became a judge. One of my teachers that I stayed very close with, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to see these people ever again. And she said, Harvey, I want you to come. I want these people to see what you became. You're a judge.
Yes.
And I didn't want to say no to her. So I go. And Tim, part of me was upset that they were going to find out that they had been right.
Wow.
It really bothered me that they were going to see that, oh, he really is a faggot. But I went, and there were two guys there that had really bullied me terribly. I mean, I got beat up every day by these two guys. That is
like really scary. But again, you had a teacher that you shared was supported you. And
well, they came up to me. These two guys came up to me and said, well, Harvey's a judge. What does it feel like to be a judge now? And I said, it's great because I get to send bullies like you to jail. And what I didn't know, I didn't realize that there had been a circle of people surrounding us that I didn't see that they were watching. These other people that had been classmates of mine. And when I said that, they all applauded.
Yes.
And these two bullies who really looked, I mean, look, I'm not a movie star looking guy.
No, but I know what they look like. We all know what they look like. You can shame them.
They looked like the bottom of a bird cage. These guys looked like manhole covers. They were
oh, I love that one. That is an analogy I've never heard before.
Oh my God.
Manhole covers. Yes.
Let's just say that life was not kind to these guys. And I had been told they had criminal records. Their wives left them. They were alcoholics. Their careers were lousy. And when everybody applauded, they just slinked out of the building.
Yep.
And that was, you talk about success being the best revenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Harvey, you were in a legal career when AIDS hit. What were some of the things that you had to deal with all around you? Because everything shut down. Businesses, you couldn't go to court. What was the range of emotions that you went through, and how did you solve some of the feelings? Because me personally, I still am not over what happened, that such a thing could happen. That's what I say. How could such a thing happen? What was it like for you?
Well, I was a very young lawyer when AIDS came around, because we're talking the early 80s.
Yeah.
And until they came up with the cocktail medications, it was really, it was an epidemic. It was a pandemic for gay men. Yeah. And I found myself as a lawyer, especially in the family law world, I found myself having to find solutions to protect gay couples. If one of them was going to die, the families did not respect the relationship, and there was no gay marriage then. And so a lot of these guys who died, their partners were left out in the cold.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't inherit anything.
Right.
They were not, some of them couldn't even be invited to the funerals because they were not considered family.
Right.
And so I did a lot of work trying to protect people before they died, to make sure in one case.
Thank you.
In one case, I even arranged for the guy who was dying to adopt his partner so that the partner would be his legal son. Wow. So that he would have legal rights, even though they were lovers.
Brilliant.
They were not parent and child, but these were some of the things that lawyers did where we actually created a legal fiction and we made them adopt so that we could say to the family of the deceased, this is his son.
Mm-hmm. That is, first of all, and I had a reason for asking you this question. I never heard of this before. I don't even remember reading this in your book. That is brilliant. And that is so inspirational. Okay.
Well, I didn't put it in the book because a lot of people were opposed to that. They felt that it was a misuse of adoption. Mm-hmm. And I had to search and find judges who would go along with it because many people said, this is inappropriate. They are not parent and child, and you are creating a legal nonsensical. And I said, I don't give a shit.
I don't care. I don't care.
Right.
That's what it was like back then.
But I love that you found a way.
Yeah.
Yes, because you have to use the law. Why did I want to be a lawyer in the first place? Okay, the truth, I wanted my parents to accept me, but I wanted to use the law to make people's lives better.
Right.
And you have, I mean, you went from criminal court, right, which I know was frustrating for you, and then you were involved with family court. And Harvey had shared in his book about what he did with deadbeat dads. I never heard of anybody. Harvey has done things I never heard of people doing. You have really pushed the envelope in the legal system, which I am 100% for. We need more judges and lawyers like you.
Right.
But you went after the deadbeat dads.
Yeah, that was my, I tell you what happened. I really liked criminal law. I loved being a defense counsel until one day I represented a guy who I know was guilty, and I got him out of jail. And that night he went and did it again. And we're talking about a serious sexual assault. And I got really angry and gave him shit. How could you possibly do this again? I just got you out. And another criminal lawyer said to me, you're not cut out to do criminal law. You're supposed to want your clients to get arrested. That's how you make a living, you schmuck. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to try to be, if I like family law, of criminal law, but I don't want to defend people, then I should be a prosecutor. There's only two things you can do in criminal law. If you don't defend them, you prosecute them. And I tried to get a job as a prosecutor, and I was told, you're gay. We don't want you. And it was because of that I went to family law. But when I went to family law, I thought, well, what could I do that would be as close as possible to prosecuting people? And I thought of deadbeat dads. Because that's kind of, if you work for the government support enforcement agency and you're going after these deadbeat dads, that's kind of like prosecuting.
It is prosecuting. It's not even kind of like, you are prosecuting them for being deadbeat dads. And how dare they, first of all? How dare they?
But and that's another theme in my book.
Yeah.
When a door shuts, a window opens. And I was very upset when I didn't get that job as a prosecutor because the head guy said, well, the cops are not going to want to work with you. They won't be comfortable with someone like you, someone like me. So
like you,
I was devastated. And then I realized when I got this job in family law and my career really took off as a prosecutor, and then I became a judge, I realized if I had gotten that job as a criminal prosecutor, I'd still be sitting there.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have gone anywhere. That guy did me the biggest favor.
Right.
And that's what people need to understand, that if you've tried hard to achieve something and it doesn't happen, trust your destiny, trust the universe. Something else will happen and you'll realize that they did you a favor. And the best example of that, I wanted to be Chief Justice, and we had an openly gay premier in this province, which is the equivalent of a governor in the States. And it looked like I was going to become the next Chief Justice. And then at the last minute, the decision was made not to appoint me. And what I heard back was that there was a concern that because we have an openly gay governor, that people are going to think that I only got it because I'm gay too.
Right.
So I thought
the gay club, we call
my
that,
whole life that I was discriminated against from homophobia from straight people.
My God.
And now we've got a gay person in power, and I feel like homophobia. Now I can't get a job because I'm gay. I'm done. Well,
I'm so done.
I was very upset about it. And then the next year we got COVID. Right. And running a court system during a lockdown would have been a nightmare. Yeah. They did me the biggest favor. That job would have been horrible.
Right. Yeah. Right. Do you have any idea the changes, how many changes you have made in people's lives and perceptions over the years? That just from being who you are and accomplishing what you have accomplished, that now gay lawyers are not that big of a deal. Gay judges are not that big of a deal. You paved the way for so many people.
Yeah, groundbreaking.
So many opportunities for people.
You're making me verklempt.
Well, I got one more for you too. I doubt that you know who Robin Bird is. Robin Bird is known here in New York, and she actually has a documentary
HBO
that just hit HBO the other day.
Yeah,
and she had a television show, a local public access television show here in New York City that was on at midnight back in the 80s, and she would interview strippers, and they would strip completely naked.
Absolutely.
Everybody in New York City who had cable knew who Robin Bird was, because everybody tuned in at midnight to watch this show, because it had never been seen before. And the FCC ended up taking her all the way to the Supreme Court.
And she fought, and she won for censorship.
She won. But it was quite a road for her. I was interviewing her at the LGBT Expo one time in front of a crowd of people, and I said, Robin, and this I'm sure you will be able to catch. I said, Robin, I along with everybody else here, I want to convey our appreciation. I said, you have been such an incredible pioneer. Yeah. You have paved the way for so many people. And she says, Tim, she goes, I just want you to know, the pioneers get the arrows in the back. It's the settlers who come afterward that get the houses.
There you go.
Boy, well,
right. And I've never forgot that nugget really of wisdom from her.
It's
and
like
you have gotten some arrows in the back in your day.
And when you break glass ceilings, you get cut.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But thank you very much for saying those very kind things. I'm very excited that my book has been made into a movie. I feel that
tell us who's in the movie, Harvey.
Who's in the movie?
Tell us who's in the movie.
Well, the woman who plays my mother, who is by far the most colorful character in the book, is Rachelle Lefevre. She co-starred in a TV show called Twilight, and she has just been cast in the Netflix reboot of Little House on the Prairie.
Nice.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
My father is played by Joe Lando. He was the romantic interest of Jane Seymour in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
I love it.
I am portrayed by 3 actors. Harvey, the little child who's bullied at school, is played by Asher Alexander. He's an actor that people are going to know about. The young Harvey who comes out and gets kicked out and has to struggle through the legal profession is David Mazouz. He is the star of Gotham. He plays the young Batman. And then Harvey the judge is played by David Arquette.
Wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
Harvey, when is the movie coming out?
The movie will be doing the film festival circuit all through the fall. And then in early 2027, it will end up on a major streaming platform in 50 countries.
Sweet.
Wow. And it's your life, which is amazing to me.
And it is amazing. It is amazing. I can't get over that.
You did it so quick.
Before the book even came out, there was a movie already made, but I knew who to send the book to.
Right.
I knew a director, Shane Stanley, and I was pretty sure he would fall in love with this story because it's a very unique story.
Yeah.
And he said, we got to do this fast. This is the time for a story like this. And that was in May. And in October 2025, we were filming.
Wow.
Isn't it? That is like he raised the money and had it all going.
He got the screenplay written.
That does things fast. You wrote your book in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That is like, I was talking with someone
incredible.
that's been working on a memoir last night. She's like in her 25th year. Okay. Now
I don't get that. Can I just tell you, I don't get that. I've interviewed so many people who've taken 20 years to write a memoir.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you would want to dwell in the past that long.
Right.
You know, like I put myself in this zone where I really took myself back there, back.
Yeah.
And I recreated all the conversations and I took the reader with me. You know, where did this happen?
Right.
What did they look like? What were they wearing? What did they say? What did I say? I don't want to live in that world any longer than I have to. So I did do it in 3 weeks. I wrote a chapter a day. And then I polished it and I made it, you know, I edited it.
But emotionally, Harvey, there were a lot of painful things in your book, a lot. Mm-hmm. And how did you did it? And what were you like at the end of the day of writing a chapter where you dealt with the emotional stuff, right?
Right. How did you revisit those things?
Yes.
I told myself I needed to go back in my mind and I put myself in a zone. And sometimes I don't know how else to explain this, but it was kind of like taking dictation. I could hear my mother's voice. I could hear my parents. I could hear those professors telling me that I was never going to get a job because I was openly gay. Amazing. And then I would look up and I would see 40 pages that I wrote.
Wow.
It was like taking dictation from my destiny or something.
No, it's like channeling. I believe just from the reading of it, you had when I read that you did it in 3 weeks, I'm like, he had to be channeling something for this to come out like that because editing or no editing, each and every moment was extremely concise. And I couldn't comprehend how somebody could do that in such a short amount of time.
I know. And my publisher told me, don't tell the truth about how quickly you wrote it because it sounds better if you say that it took me years. But I've never lied. I'm not going to lie now. The truth is, if you want to write your life story, you can't just say, well, my parents kicked me out when I told them I'm gay. That's not a book. You have to take the reader there with you.
The moments.
You have to make them be there with you, and you've got to live there again. And there's a way to do it if you make yourself go back. And I guess I'm lucky. I was able to do that.
You were able to do
And then I was surprised by what I'd written, that it was so accurate because I had not really thought about those conversations in that much detail.
Right.
Somebody said to me, well, you must have kept journals. I didn't.
Wow.
That was, Tim, that was totally amazing to me because any memoir I've ever read that had this much detail has come from the person's journals. My own book came from I have 250 photo albums. I had to sit down and go through those pictures, and I had to hire someone that did the whole timeline for me because all the thoughts were so jumbled in my head. This was clear, it was concise, and it really did cut to the quick. You could see the moments, you could see who the people were. I hated those bullies, you know. And
thank you. Thank you.
But I also, my heart broke over your mom. It's important to mention your mother was a Holocaust survivor. That's huge. All right. And then, the son, the prodigal son, Harvey, who was going to be everything. Your mother came here with nothing. And then to have this happen because of gay, it was like, wow, how do you process that?
Yeah. And I have come over the years to accept and acknowledge her pain.
Thank you.
Her disappointment.
Good.
That I don't condone how they responded to me, but I do understand the terrible shame that she felt, the pain that she felt, the disappointment. I was the only child. She was never going to have grandchildren or a wedding, so I do feel that, and I'm very happy that I made her really proud, because by the end of it, she was saying things like, thank God you're gay, because if you had been straight, you probably would have married some bitch that I would have hated.
She would have said that too, right?
Oh yeah, my mother would have said it.
That's great.
It all worked out.
It did.
Yes, absolutely. As it was supposed to.
And I'll tell you something else. Because I wrote the book while I was seeing it all in my head, I wrote it very cinematically.
Yes.
And when I delivered the book to the publisher, the guy said to me, "This is a very cinematic book. I can really see it all." And that's what gave me the idea. Then we should make a movie.
Perfect. Yes. Wendy, do we have a video?
No, there's no video.
Okay, I'm sorry. I saw this extra tab over here that's normally where we keep the videos.
No. Yes, it's please. All about Harvey.
I will, if you want. Yeah. If you want, when the movie is released,
yes,
I can come back and bring you the trailer, and we can talk more about the film. And I can put you in touch with the director, who would probably be thrilled to come on your show.
Oh, absolutely.
Booked. Let's absolutely do it.
Now, for more information of Harvey Brownstone, please, the information is right down below. Go to harveybrownstoneInterviews.com or at Harvey Brownstone Interviews on Instagram.
Right. And you can look at all of Harvey Brownstone's interviews on YouTube. Like,
they are amazing.
Hundreds of them. I felt it would be a disservice to run that because this is like live and everything. They can go visit you and see what you do, Harvey. Now,
I'm just so in love with both of you. You are the best at what you do. I hope the public appreciates that. Although you make it look easy, it's not.
Well, but we really love it. So this kind of thing really is easy. It's all the other stuff, it's like the finding of the guests, the booking of the guests, the promoting of the guests, but this is why we do it. Now, I have to ask you a question that's been burning inside of me. Why did they name a coffee after you?
Yeah.
And what did the coffee taste like? What elements of Harvey Brownstone are in that coffee?
That's a strange thing, but I had a few guests on my show who had coffee brands.
Yeah.
They were the Hollywood Blends is the company, and they make these signature coffees for these stars, all of whom are dead.
Right. And when we had the girl who runs it, she was on the show, and you had your own coffee. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's Dominique Benedict. You had her on your show. I watched that interview. You did a wonderful job with her. And I had Ava Gardner's niece was on the show promoting that coffee. I had Boris Karloff's daughter was promoting Boris Karloff coffee. Joan Crawford's grandson. And David Arquette came on the show promoting his Bozo the Clown coffee. And one day Dominique phoned me and said, "We want to do a Harvey Brownstone coffee." And I said, "I'm not famous enough. Who's going to buy it?" And she said, "You got 5 million people watching your show. Yeah. You're famous enough."
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm going to send you a couple of blends, 3 blends." She sent me.
Yeah.
And she said, "Pick one that you really like." Not that I'm a real coffee aficionado, but I chose this medium roast that I thought was really smooth. And she said, "Let's do it." So
love it.
We started advertising the coffee on my show just at the beginning of every episode. And it's selling like crazy. It sells in the UK because we're televised there. And
of course,
it's a very good coffee. I have to say, it's really good.
Well, Harvey, we're going to hold you to that because I asked this question so you could send Tim and I samples. No, I'm just kidding.
I would love to.
We never get our samples from Dominique. She was supposed to send me. I even emailed her. No, we don't. We're not that. We're not schnorrers. And you know what that word means. We're not that. But
I'm going to do it.
I'm a coffee person. And
when we finish, I'm going to get your addresses and I'm going to get a bag of Harvey Brownstone coffee sent to each of you.
And we will promote it on social media too. I drink amazing cup of coffee every morning, believe it or not, in a giant tin. It only costs $13. It's the Walmart dark roast. Out of this world.
Well, you got to try mine.
I'm going to try yours. I can't wait.
I will say that it's a bit more than $13, but I'll give you a lifetime supply.
So you are a medium roast, not bitter.
It's smooth, Tim. Harvey,
honey, I've been roasted like a marshmallow in my life.
We have a bunch of comments.
And still not bitter. I love that.
Okay, here we go. Apollo Cabrera says yes. Hi, Apollo. Rose Trentman, hello, my dear friends. Let's keep it cool. Rose loves a coffee in the morning. Momo Cabrera, hi. Thank you for tuning in. I reached out to you, darling. We love everybody who tunes in. And we have on here Mr. Starfleet. Hello from Palm Springs. Is that Prince Fleetwood.
Yeah. Prince
yeah.
Fleet. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. And Rose, thank you for sharing your experience. Rose was a boxing commissioner, so she knows from drama, believe me. And for more information, HarveyBrownstoneInterviews.com or at Harvey Brownstone Interviews on Instagram. Harvey, the book, where can people get the book?
Oh, everywhere you buy books. Amazon, the Barnes and Noble, wherever you buy books.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous.
Now, one thing I don't know why this is just kind of not unsettling in me, but something I just feel I should share is appreciation, because it's kind of hard to appreciate people who have not treated you nicely or treated you fairly. But yet, if your parents had not chosen to do what they did, the experiences that you experienced, putting yourself through law, becoming a judge, the first gay judge, and also doing a full circle back to where your heart truly was, which was interviewing celebrities in Hollywood. If those things had not happened,
right,
you would not have ended up where you're at today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it no matter how harshly you might have been treated, like you said, they were motivations for you to kind of push yourself too. So
I think what Tim is saying, what doesn't kill you moves you forward, right?
Well, I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah,
I'm very grateful. I have no anger or bitterness towards my parents. I'm grateful because I don't think I would have achieved much if they had not kicked me out. I think I would have been a spoiled only child, middle-class parents. I don't think I would have achieved anything. They gave me the biggest gift, which was rejection. It's a huge motivator.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I really am. I don't recommend it to people.
Right.
But I have to say that in my case, I owe everything to my parent, everything. And if you look at the first page of the book, I dedicated it to them.
Yeah.
He absolutely did. And, everything that you shared about your mom and your dad, who was not your biological dad, but he had your back always, even when he couldn't because of his relationship with your mom, he still did. I think at the end of the day, even when you were estranged, you knew they loved you. They loved you no matter what.
Yes, I think my mother was in terrible pain during those 5 years.
Terrible pain. I read that and I was like, yeah.
She was. It wasn't like they were on a picnic knowing that their son was not in contact with them.
Right.
But she thought it was tough love. She thought it would work, that I would come to my senses and realize that I was straight. It was ridiculous, of course.
Which was also her expectations for her son.
She just didn't understand that you're born that way and you can't change it.
Right.
And it took a long time for people of that generation to figure these things out.
Thank you for understanding that. Yeah. There's many more accepting parents now, but I still have people come on my other show all the time with parents that, this is it. It's the worst thing that could have ever happened to them. But hopefully we'll evolve to where eventually it's an equal playing field. Nothing like that should matter,
But you are like the epitome of taking lemons and making lemonade.
Absolutely.
And
you are extraordinary.
You have to do that in life. You've got to, whatever the lemons are in your life, you've got to accept that that's what your destiny had in store for you.
Yeah.
And you've both been through all kinds of obstacles. I mean, Wendy, you were left a widow really young.
Well, but you know what? That was like, everyone's like, how did you handle that? I had been through so much. Remember, my dad was going to be made a judge, We lived in the Bronx. We were moving to Tony Chappaqua, New York. My dad got Parkinson's, and when I was 4, I grew up with a sick father. It has definitely colored everything for me. We had no money by the time I was 7, except what my parents had put away. You carry that with you. My mother worked as a school aide, okay? A school aide in the school, all right? Or my destiny was supposed to be totally different, but look what happened. And again, I knew, as you did, for me to get ahead, I had to overcome all of those obstacles. And like you know what, like you said, you probably, if things hadn't happened that way, you would have been a spoiled, little upper middle class kid. And for me, I would have grown up in beautiful suburbia and maybe wouldn't have had the dreams and the desires that I had. But you said it, a door closes and a window opens. And that is what you get from the book. And that is what I hope our listeners get from the show today.
And that's what they'll get from the movie.
Yes, and from the movie as well.
Absolutely. Oh my God, you are such an inspiration. Oh my God, Harvey.
Hey, Harvey, we will see you next when the film comes out. We'll have you on.
Let me do a quick picture while I got you. Let me do a quick picture while I got you here.
Yes.
If you could lean in just a little bit. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. And we've got a ring around his face on your book. So if you can tip it just a little bit.
Tip it? Is that good,
There we
Tim?
go. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Ring around your face. Hello, Harvey.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Hold on. And we'll talk again. We'll chat again after the credits. But thank you so very much.
Thank you, Harvey Brownstone.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who listened in today. Have a good rest of week. Bye-bye.